and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan read-through podcast. My name is Peter Bond, and I've read each book in the main series. However, my co-hosts are reading the series for the first time. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello.
How's the watermelon, Inge?
It's good. It's good. It's satisfying.
And our producer, AJ Flary, is with us. How are the levels? How are the bars?
The levels are looking great, especially on India's watermelon eating sounds.
I'm not eating it.
Perfect.
I'm not even eating it. I'm
She's just
suckling.
holding it like a prop. And he's, and last but not least, he's begrudgingly accepted the title of Fist. It's Joshua Baker.
You know, fun fact, I've always been more of a cantaloupe kind of guy. I have never really enjoyed watermelon, but like, I'll fuck a cantaloupe up right now.
Oh,
You heard it here first. Josh Baker will fuck a cantaloupe.
Josh said he's gonna fuck a cantaloupe.
I said, I fucking hate all of you.
Stop what you just said, Josh.
Cantaloupe does have that kind of vibe. I'm not gonna lie.
This is the show where we sometimes talk to New York Times best-selling author Steven Erickson and also talk about Josh fucking
just
a
loves
cantaloupe.
He just loves the curvy melons.
Oh my god. I fucking hate all
Today
of
on
you.
the show, we're talking about House of Chains, chapters 5, 6, and 7. We've left the big Karsa opening behind, and we're catching up with everybody else on 7 Cities. I'm excited to get into it.
I'm not.
I'm excited to
These
get out of it.
chapters sucked.
Like, Inge, we're going to disagree so hard, because I know you texted to the group that, but like, these chapters absolutely ruled. I'm on cloud 9 over here, loving this House of Chains.
Yeah, I also like these chapters.
They were fine.
All right. Well, let's talk about them more in depth. Chapter 5 is super long. Does anyone read the summary?
Can I read the summary?
No, because,
can't.
yeah.
Oh my
get
gosh,
in
I
there,
was-
AJ.
What? I want
Fucking get in
Get
there like
in there.
swimwear,
This is
buddy.
a great day.
Let's get it going.
Chapter 5. In Aren, Gamet has been named Fist. The former House Guard captain is working with Commander Blistig to track down the archer Squint. They find the archer drunk in a tavern. They talk about the slaughter of Coltane in the front of the city. Gamet plans to have Squint cleaned up. Blistig tries to mock Gamet, but the Fist puts him down and informs him the adjunct Tavor has called a command meeting that night. Fiddler draws close to Aren, however he is leaving his old life behind and taking a new name, Strings. He meets the noble-born Lieutenant Ranel, and they argue. Soon he meets Korik. They speak of Admiral Nock, the chain of dogs, and the situation in 7 cities. Lestara Yill waits in a bar after receiving a mysterious message. The Red Blades have been freed and serve the new adjunct. The Claw Pearl soon arrives, asking Lestara to accompany him on a secret mission. She is skeptical, and they set off to find out more. Gamet waits with the others for Tavor. The group is Admiral Nock, Commander Blistig, and the Red Blade Commander Tene Beralta. Tavor arrives and unceremoniously dispatches 3 orders. First, Blistig and Beralta will both serve as fists for the army. She waits to give Nock his orders, and the commanders leave. Second, she calls upon the Wiccan. Nil and Nether join the army to serve as Tavor's mages, and the young Tamul will lead the Wiccan as bodyguards for the adjunct. Third, she meets with Pearl and Lestara Yill. Away from the Empress's eyes, she teases Pearl with the idea of finding the Talon. She gives them clues and then tells Pearl to dispose of them. She asks them to find her sister Felisin. Gamet recalls the day of the noble Kull in Unta. He dismissed the house guards besides the Talon, Bodin. Gamet commands Bodin to protect Felisin and follow her to the Otetero mines. Bodin sets off to wake Felisin. Pearl and Lestara Yill are left alone. They speak about their mission. Pearl hopes to reveal the Talons and curry favor with the Empress and the Imperial Claw. Lestara is hesitant, but can't get out. She agrees to go on the mission. Tavor and Gamet meet with the Admiral Nock. Together they discuss the Emperor, his old guard, and what comes of the Napan Admiral. They talk for a while about Imperial history and how Lysine has shattered that old guard. Then Tavor leaves to find Ta'amber. Strings will serve under Captain Keneb, under Fist Gamet. He then meets up with Korik and his new squad mates, Smiles, Bottle, and Tar, who Strings names as his corporal. Fiddler then encounters Stormy and Gessler, and they recognize they both served in the Old Empire. Together, the soldiers go off to trade stories.
We're back in Aren with Adjunct Tavor and the 14th Army, and we catch up with a lot of different people and what's going on there, but it starts with the new Fist, Gamet, who was the old Perrin guardhouse captain, and now Tavor's brought him along and promoted him, and we first meet him as he's out in the city with Blistig, trying to find Squint, the archer who killed Coltaine. India, what was your impression of Gamet, and how did you feel being back with the Malazan army?
I felt upset. They bore the shit out of me.
Inge, no.
I know. Gamet. Did we meet this person before?
Nah, brand new character.
Wow, that name sounds familiar AF. So...
He has been obliquely mentioned as them of having a nap in guard before, but you wouldn't have known, so...
Remembered that, yeah.
Yeah.
So first I have a question because I forgot and I didn't know their name and I feel like I should know this. Who was the person who was like, no, we're not leaving the gates? Like, we're just going to let them all die.
Oh, that's Malak Rel.
Yeah, I would love if we could do a quick recap, because I was also struggling.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, because then I was like, maybe it's this Bliss Creek. I don't even know what.
So can I try?
Sure,
and
yeah,
you
give
fill
it
in
a
the
shot.
gaps? Okay.
You're talking about going over the events of Coltaine's slaughter outside of Aren.
Correct.
Towards the end of Deadhouse Gates, when Coltaine's approaching, okay? So, Duiker and a few guys had gotten into the city.
Mm-hmm. With the refugees. So they want to go sally forth and save the group, but they are stopped by, if I remember correctly, High Fist Pormqual? Yes, he was currently the Fist.
He was the current Fist then, and he was being advised by Malak Corral, yes?
Indeed.
And did we know what I can't remember is, I know what we find out later, but who was Malak Corral supposed to be? Was he just a guy? Was he a sorcerer?
At the very beginning of Deadhouse Gates, Malak Rel is there with the council, and then Coltaine kind of spurs him and is rude to him. And Malak Rel is kind of, he's there, and he's not with other people. He's just supporting the rebellion. He's kind of playing his own game. You know?
Okay, and so at the end, and then they go out to Corbolo Dom, who is the Renegade Fist.
Yeah.
Pornqual orders everyone to put their swords down, and they all get killed. Now, Pornqual gets killed, too.
Yes, Pornqual dies there.
Malak Rel does or doesn't die there?
No, Malak Rel goes, and he goes off to Raraku, and we'll talk about him in Chapter 7.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to remember. Okay, Blistig is the leader of the group of guards that Duiker convinced to turn back and close the gates.
You'll recall when they're watching Coltaine's slaughter, Blistig's up on the wall, and Duiker notes that he's the only one that is there that's kind of like, he's outraged that they're not doing anything, and he's like, we should go out, but he is being stopped by High Fist Porqual and Malak Rel, and because he's the commander of the Aren Guard.
And now when they sally forth, and he's the one that gets sent back by Duiker, right? Duiker's like, this doesn't make sense, go back?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. That's all I had too, India. I was really struggling.
That helps. That's it. That's what I needed.
I always get Corbolo Dom and Malak Rel and the third one. I never remember who's who.
It's annoying too because I'm scared to like fact check myself.
Yes, dangerous stuff.
But yeah, okay. So yeah, that makes sense then because they were giving like as Steve does an excruciating amount of fucking detail about these two men. And I was like, I thought we knew them already, but okay, makes sense. We didn't. Why is one of them kind of crazy?
Blistig's got a lot of pent-up rage, and I think it's just because of that he had to witness that slaughter, and he kind of was unable to.
Oh, it's rage. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I was confused to be back and unhappy because I don't like them. It's boring to me. And so this whole chapter was like, I as I mentioned to you guys, I would like read a paragraph and then complain in the group chat and then read a paragraph and then go on my Instagram. So
you were immersed in the world of fantasy.
It was hard for me to get through this. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I thought that they were, I don't know, they were just normal characters. Disinterested. I have no thoughts. I'm not interested in them at all.
Well, we'll touch in more on Gamet later, but Josh, how did you feel when we come to meet Fiddler? He's going by strings now. He meets Korik, and later on he meets this whole other squad. So what do you think of Fiddler? Let's talk about both parts right now. And his new, he's come to fight for the cause here on Seven Cities.
Yeah, so I do want to first point out a funny parallel between AJ and I. I read this chapter a few days ago, and I texted Peter, and I said, is it supposed to be super clear that this is Fiddler, like from the get? And then yesterday, AJ messaged us all and was just like, the Fiddler reveal, guys.
I said I felt really dumb that I didn't get the Fiddler reveal.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny. Here's what I'll say about everything to do with Fiddler so far, is I'm very split based upon how Steve has written in other books. So, like, part of me goes, I don't give a fuck about any of these people. They have to live at least 2 chapters before I learn their names and anything, and I'll go back and recall what they look like. But the other problem is, I didn't learn anything. I didn't, like, picker and blend. The entire time we read Memories of Ice, I was like, I don't care about them. They're not important. And then they're incredibly important and live through the end, and I probably should really go back and, like, review some baseline details about what they look like and stuff. So, I don't know any of the names of the new Fiddler people, except, and the only thing I know about them is I don't like his lieutenant.
Lieutenant Ronald.
Yeah. Oh, I love seeing Stormy and Gessler in the gang, though. That was fun.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Really, though?
Oh, yeah.
They're going to go and chill out? Please.
Okay.
I don't know. I will say, this is probably we haven't seen tons of, like, into the Malazan army stuff, you know, but if I could have picked any weird collection of people to be my eyes into the Malazan army, I think this will be cool. Also, big reveal, or maybe not reveal, that Stormy and Gessler are also highly important people from before the weird shit. Is that not a reveal?
It's not really a reveal. It was kind of hinted at in Deadhouse Gates, but not as explicitly.
Yeah, so I guess that was something.
I just like Stormy and Gessler a lot, you know? They're big bears.
They're fun. What's the other one? What's the young guy's name? The new one?
Oh,
Isn't there another one of them that's golden and going to be a god, and they barely talk about him because he was so new?
Yeah.
What's his fucking name?
Truth.
I was blanking.
Good job, guys.
Proud of you, AJ.
Thanks, AJ.
That's why I have my book.
You bastard.
Now, India, you may have been a little cool on the Gamet stuff, but I know for a whole book now you were thinking, what's going on with Lestara Yale? Where is she at?
Honestly, I welcome any female character, so...
I'm just going to put in the clip from Deadhouse Gates where India said, Lestart mattering.
Who even are you? Who are you?
Lestara, more like Lestart mattering, idiot.
Yeah, let's stop talking.
Oh, got her.
Got him. It's just, it was interesting to catch up with her and frickin' Pearl. Pearl's such a bitch. I can't take him. She's just like, I don't know. She's addicted to the drama though. Like, I can't even feel bad for her because as soon as he comes back, she's like, oh, no, I don't want this. Leave me alone. And then she's like, all right, yeah, what do you got for me? Like, let's go figure it out. What's the stuff? So
it is just lip service to not wanting to. I'm not gonna go. Oh, hello, it's me. All right, you got me.
Don't twist my arm. I'm coming. So that was like, I mean, am I excited for? They're gonna go look for Felisin, right?
Yeah, we learn that later.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, I'm excited about it because, like, what's going to come of it? But I'm also like, I just feel like Pearl's going to kill a bunch of people for no reason. It's going to piss me off. And Lestara's going to be like, what are you doing? Murder. And he's like, no, it's not murder. What do you mean murder?
I mean, to be fair, Lestara kills a fair amount of people, too.
Yeah,
Lestara's
part of the Red Blades, like, so far they exclusively kill people.
But she was just following orders.
And classically, that excuses all crimes.
That classic moral.
No, just kidding. Yeah, it's super bad.
Josh, how did you feel to see Lestara and Pearl? We learn that this duo is back together and they're off on this they get this furtive quest to go find Felisin.
I'll talk about the quest. I think that's very interesting. I love that like Pearl is so obsessed with finding the talons, you know, that's like a cool, I don't know, I thought that was interesting. As far as the characters themselves, I'm pretty cold on them. I don't care enough about Lestara. I feel like Lestara Yill is I don't know. I don't know anything about her, and I feel no strong desire to learn about her currently. Correct. Maybe that'll change, you know? But right now, they're both very one-dimensional, and I'm sure, as almost every character in this book is, by the end they'll be four-dimensional, and, you know.
I feel like you have a small smile right now, Peter, which leads me to believe that at some point she will become quite relevant, which is going to piss me off when I think back to this episode when they're like, fuck her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, AJ, I'll shoot you this big fun question.
Ooh.
You know,
Okay.
let's get a little frisky. So, in this chapter, we really meet the adjunct Tavor for the first time, you know? She's been offhandedly mentioned or like seen through a little bit in Deadhouse Gates a little bit other times. But what's your first impression of Tavor when she hands out all the orders and when you see her in this chapter?
I mean, she's very disinterested in a way. She just seems very concerned about how other people are viewing her, so she tries to give off as little as possible, you know? Like when they all come into the meeting, it was kind of just like, here's what's happening, here we go, okay, now I'm going to meet in private with my best friends. And then even in there was like some, you know, sly, like nudge stuff with Pearl and whatnot, but even that was still pretty like deadpan, I felt. Do keep in mind that I only read the first half of Deadhouse Gates and Memories of Ice, and she's not mentioned a whole lot in Memories of Ice, so I didn't have like this big expectation of who she would be and stuff. I feel like she's talked about a lot more in like Deadhouse Gates, and at least addressed in Gardens of the Moon. But
for not knowing a lot about how she's like talked about, I feel like you talked about her exactly how the book has talked about her, like caring about what people think.
India, do you feel like you had a big expectation about her?
No, I mean, I kind of took it a little differently, her like demeanor, because I feel like she is like, she's just in a really weird, not safe position. So for her to give away any kind of emotion would be like, she doesn't know who she can trust, and she doesn't even know, like, she's just not very secure.
Definitely.
So I think it makes sense that she's like withdrawn and like making decisions without really discussing them, because she doesn't really know who to trust. I think I kind of like her for that. I'm kind of excited. I hope she has like a more interesting character development, because I'd love to find out a little more about her. I thought it was like cute though that she does want to find Felisin. I mean, it's too little too late, girlfriend. You're not going to like what you find, but you know, at least she's not like a monster. Like, well, I mean, she's kind of a monster, but like at least she's redeemable. And she's not as bad as that freaking thing from the last book that was totally redeemable. So like, I don't even care.
Can I hop in?
Please.
Of course.
I love the adjunct Tavor.
What?
Because I hate Felisin.
Oh.
Okay.
I can't believe you still hate
I love
Felisin.
Tavor and Felisin. You don't have to pick one.
Here's the thing.
Me too.
Tavor comes in and she just does. She walks in and she goes, boom, boom, boom. You're all three promoted. No fanfare. Next. And it's just like, I don't know. When she is in business mode, I felt like everything she just chose to do was like precisely like so carefully thought out and brilliantly executed. I loved she just commands a room in a way that Felisin can't, because everyone looks at Felisin and goes, she has potential, or she could kill us all. Just because she's upset with us. Yes, Tavor is a little snippy with Gamet in a way, but like they both definitely deeply respect. Well, not about respect. Gamet definitely like is very trusting of her, versus like I feel like everything Felisin does, all the people under her are like, I don't know. I can't trust that right now. I don't know. I love Tavor.
I think what's interesting about using the phrase commands a room, because I agree she commands a room, right? But I think her command is coming from how kind of withdrawn she is and what she is withholding. Yeah. You know, that's where the power is. So it's interesting to contrast her strength coming from holding back.
I think that's a classic from all the Malazan leaders we've seen. That is the Malazan way. Like the way you're a great leader is holding in what they don't need to know and only giving them what they need to see right that second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Following the playbook.
It is a Malazan way, and after she dispatches these orders, Gamet kind of thinks back to when he kind of helped send Bowden to protect Felisin, and we learn more about Tavor's first attempt to protect her sister. India, what did you think of seeing this kind of little flashback to this first attempt, and did it make you think about the events of Deadhouse Gates any differently?
No, I don't think so. I just don't agree with her choice to have done it, regardless of her thinking that.
Fully agree, Inge.
Yeah, like even, and it's not like, I don't know who said it, but she was like, oh, well, I hope she's okay in there. And somebody was like, well, she definitely won't be, but like, let's hope she's resilient. And if that's not enough for you to be like, oh, maybe not, she's like 13. Like, I don't know. I disagree with that decision, and I don't feel bad. And I think that she was really shitty for doing it, and nothing's going to change that.
Fully agree. And I think some of the worst shit is when, I don't know who's, maybe Bowden or Gamet said, they're like, well, as long as she's like cooperative with Bowden, and then like everything will be okay. And it's like, yeah, maybe, or you could not send her to a slave camp as a child. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's like, I know there was pressure in the Imperial capital, but I just don't think Tavor gets a pass in any way. You know?
I totally, I agree. There were options, and she definitely picked by far the most brutal, I think, of the options. So I don't know what they were, but like there had to be something. There had to be somewhere else this poor girl could have went.
Yeah.
I think it's a very in the moment decision, just judging from the portion in the book. Because Bowden says there will be some, referring to harm coming to her. It cannot be helped. And Gamet's like, Gamet's basically just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you dumb? We could do something else. And then Bowden basically says it's either the mob or the mines. And in that moment, I think Gamet's just like, well.
But I just like don't believe Bowden with that. I just think that's a fucking false choice, you know?
Agreed.
Yeah, but like, it feels like a very heated, like in the moment, like, oh shit, we need to make a decision. And I agree, it probably could have been not the mines, but just like somewhere that's not there.
Do you wonder if she had to in order to cement her spot as adjunct?
Well, yeah, she felt after Perrin deserted and all that, it was to reaffirm the House Perrin's loyalty to the Empress. That was what motivated that. But
why have we learned yet how she was chosen as the next adjunct?
It has not been discussed.
Okay, thank you. Very curious.
Now, Josh, speaking of the Empress, you text a little bit about it, but we learn a lot more about in this time about Admiral Nock, the Imperial history, Kellanved and Dancer, and how the Empire was kind of founded, and then how Lestine kind of broke away, and we get all this old guard history. So
this is my exact shit. I was in love. India's shaking her head, but this was...
Don't even ask me.
I feel like I understand the books 4 times as well as I did before reading this. Like, I feel like many things
why
have
do you feel that way?
Yeah, please.
So I have said from the get-go that it is a beautiful storytelling device that we're thrown into a history, but we're not given a book, any of the stuff before. Like, we're thrown into a living world, but we don't get that history element. And I felt like this was the first time that I like have a clear image of what the fucking Malazan Empire is. How long it lasted, how had the change in power. I feel like I don't know. I feel like in the time between where Gardens of the Moon began and Kellanved meeting Dancer, I feel like I have like a 80% grasp on now, whereas before I had like a 20% grasp.
Interesting.
And I'm sure there's tons I still don't know, but like I know the pivotal moments of like Surly, now Lestine. I see where she went. I see why the idea of Nappins being just like, I understand the disappearances a little bit more and why they're where they need to be, like the fucking keeper, assumedly. If that's not one of them, I'll eat my own shoe. I don't know. I felt really good, like in terms of my understanding of the precipitory events leading to book 1
of contextualizing that history of how the Empire came to be.
Yes.
I enjoyed that history, and it's just a fun image, and I just them all around, making a little empire out of that bar, dead house.
And it's something I've struggled with since the first book is like when I hear empire, I don't think 30 years old. I don't think has existed for however many years. I know 30 was just a shot in the dark.
Yeah, it's not 30, but continue.
Like yeah. But I now I understand like, oh, the empire literally was created by these two guys who are in living memory. That is how long it has existed. That really also contextualizes how efficient the Malazan army is to have expanded the empire as much as they have in that short a time.
Yeah, and they had help with the Logos Talana Mass. It's a whole thing.
Yes,
we'll get to it. Yeah.
I mean, having an all-powerful undead army, I guess, probably quickens some things.
Yeah. Well, let's continue with Chapter 6, but before we did, this is our first opportunity to thank those people who have backed us on Patreon, and this is our first episode we're recording since that was released, and there'll probably be more names than normal since it's our first time, and everyone who came in, we want to thank them. It's very nice, and everyone's been very kind and generous about it.
We're going to shout out the 26 people that backed today. This is the first day that we had our Patreon, but I guess... do we want to take it in shifts?
I want to do it.
Start it off, India.
Thank you to Aren, Kai, Jonas, Enrique, Ben, Captain Britain, Bjorn, Hanny,
Daniel, Alexandros, Vishnu Karthik, Nathan, Bill, Rick,
Josh, not Baker, Brendan, Flo, Patrick, PMDU, Anthony,
Timothy, Jonathan, Bjorn, Used Chicken, and Brian. It's almost like a song, you could do a little rhythm.
and Alexander. We had another person back while we were recording, so also Alexander.
Thank you all.
Thank you all so much.
Love you.
We are truly blown away by the amount of people who have contributed.
And for our August bonus episode, which will be this month, we're going to do a follow-up role-playing episode, more Malazan role-playing. So that should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to making it for you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
We'll be here all week.
I'm sure we'll continue to plug and talk about the Patreon. So onward and upward to Chapter 6.
Chapter 6. At Apsalar's home on Itko Khan, Crocus waits for her as she mourns her father's death. They wonder what is next for the two of them, reflecting on a job they did together, killing a man for money. Crocus, now going by Cutter, reflects on Cotillion. Kalam rides in the Warren of Shadows. He spots strange pillars and the children training with Manala. Cotillion approaches and questions the assassin. After trying to withdraw information from the god, Kalam agrees to help Cotillion to learn more about potential enemies. Crocus waits on the beach, and Cotillion then approaches the aspiring Cutter. Cotillion speaks to him about the Hound of Shadow, Ralik Nam, and assassins. The god offers to bless Crocus's dagger, and though he refuses, Cutter agrees to help the patron of assassins. Crocus goes to find Apsalar. She has felt Cotillion's presence. The two are to go find an island. Onrack, a Talana Mass, is trapped in the Nascent. He has been separated from his people and cannot reach out to his kin or escape the Warren. He wanders, considering the strange world and his people, the Logos Talana Mass. Onrack finds the chained Tiste eater Troll Sengar. He bears a slash on his face to mark him as a traitor. He has been in prison for a long time. Onrack drags him to find food. They both identify themselves as clanless. Strange large catfish attack them, and they fight them off. They manage to eat them, and Troll speaks of the Tiste eater's past. Onrack is hesitant to learn more. They travel together and find 7 strange beasts cut in stone.
Josh, at the end of Deadhouse Gates, there's this sequence where Shadow Throne kind of divvies out rewards almost, Crocus and Apsalar get to go to Apsalar's home in Kokan. Kalam gets this stuff and he goes there, and he goes into the Warren of Shadows. And we check in with some of these characters here in Chapter 6, right? First, we meet Crocus and Apsalar as they have gone back to Itko-Kan, and we learn that they went to an alley and they had to get some money, so they killed this man, returned to Apsalar's village where her father dies, and we meet them kind of lost and confused what to do. How did you feel about checking in with these two characters?
I actually really enjoyed popping in with them. I've gone on the record that I don't enjoy Crocus, but I currently very much enjoy Cutter because if I don't know if you guys have seen or read Kick-Ass, but he has very strong vibes of the main character, who just is like, I mean, his name's Cutter, and he's gotten real good with daggers, and I don't think he's got it in him. Like, I don't know, and it's really funny. Everything about him going by that name is too much for me.
The reason I love Crocus, this chapter I love so much, and Crocus' character I adore, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because I am a somewhat confused, young, sad person, you know?
Okay.
But Crocus I feel so bad for him. This young boy truly has no clue what he should be doing.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just sitting around in this, like, he left Darujistan, went on a boat, followed this girl, and now they're back in her hometown, and he, like, killed a person, and is now like, I don't know, she likes me, I guess I'm a murderer now.
Yeah.
You know, like, what is he doing with his life, young man?
I think it's perfect. And I do also, I want to say that my favorite thing about this entire chapter is Crocus is just done with anybody and their shit, and nothing exemplifies that more than a god being like, you trying to do this? And him being like, well, I mean, let's bargain. And then but like, he's not trying to get anything out of it, you know? I don't know. Their conversation is him just flagrantly being like, I could not give less of a shit about you, even though I guess you're my patron. I love that attitude.
He just doesn't know what to do or anything, you know?
Yeah. Also, I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed that he got rid of his coin, and I really enjoy his refusal to have his blades blessed. I think that's great.
India, how did you feel about checking in with Crocus and Apsalar on Itkokan?
You know, I don't think that Crocus, aka Cutter, is being very genuine and true to himself here. I think he is just a very confused, sad little boy and is just like, well, I like this girl and she's a psycho, so same.
Like, Apsalar's nice, but he's definitely...
Is she though? She's like not really, like, who is she at this point, you know? Like, she like can't really
Great
have
question.
emotions at this point, I feel, because like, I mean, I guess she does, but like everything just, you know, has to be a little more tempered because she's had some serious trauma in that little head of hers. So, you know, she's just not the woman that she was when they met. And Crocus is just looking for love in all the wrong places. My takeaway.
No.
I hope that his story gets more interesting, though. I mean, I'm so sick of all these freaking duos, you know?
It's a lot of pairs so far.
Like, okay.
A lot of duos.
There's just so many freaking duos, and they are the least interesting by far.
Matt disagree, but they are going off to an island. Any thoughts about, like, why is Cotillion set? What's the goal? Do you guys, any thoughts?
Did he say which island? I can't remember.
No.
Just an island? I mean, are they gonna go to Malaz Island? That'd be something, I guess.
I don't know anything about islands. I have no thoughts about where they're going, but I do like that Cutter has the ability to call on that cute little dog whenever he wants.
oh my god,
he
I
bargains
forgot he gets the dog. That's pretty good.
Two dogs, right?
He meets
No, I
two,
think
but
just
he only
one.
I think it was actually
He can
blind.
summon-
Blind. He likes blind. Yeah,
He
blind
connects
seems
with
cool.
blind. Blind makes him feel calm, which is adorable.
Just a fan of the
He's
pets, you know?
attracted to dangerous women, what it is.
I gotta tell you guys, I think the dogs are some of the most interesting characters in this whole series.
Really?
I hope we find, I mean, like, I fully could see them being just dogs because Steve was just like, they could all have personality, sure. This one's called Gear. That's very up Steve's alley. But I could also see all of them being reincarnations of hyper critically important people from the past. And
Ooh,
just
good
like, we don't know
thought.
that till the end. But like, I don't know. Either way, I would love it. I'd love if Steve was like, and this one's named Blind, and this one's named, like, that's so good to me.
I think there was a really interesting part at the very beginning of chapter 6 when Crocus is just thinking about what it means to like be in love with Apsalar or whatever, and thinking about Cotillion and ascendancy and stuff. And he says, but it seemed to him to ascend was also to surrender.
That was great.
Was it not a mortal's fate then to embrace life itself as one would a lover, life with all its fraught momentary fragility? And could life not be called a mortal's first lover? A lover whose embrace was then rejected in the fiery crucible of ascendancy. It's a very good...
That's so
very
good.
Very good.
I highlighted a similar thing about embracing life as a lover, which is it's wonderful and interesting, and I think it's especially a contrast to what could be given up by ascending, and then also, as you said, about in his current moment relating to Apsalar and what it means to love and what it means to live. You know, I think it's a poignant passage, and it's
great.
That's why I love this. I loved him being sad on the beach. You know,
Aren't we all just sad on the beach?
On Tuesdays.
Wait, did he also say that Apsalar is ascending, or so he thinks? Did we all know that already? Did I read that wrong?
I think she is slowly ascending.
Yeah, I think he was just assuming based on her journey.
I feel like there's hints that like she's gonna do it, I guess. I feel like her choosing the fucking name of Apsalar kind of set her on that path.
So, India, we then go into the Warren of Shadows, where we check in with Kalam, and he has his own little conversation with Cotillion. We learn about Kalam's, what he's been up to in the interceding time. How did you feel about checking in with this?
I loved it.
character?
I love it. I love that he is now a suburban dad with 13,000 children.
So many fucking kids.
It's fantastic. I thought that was interesting, kind of random. I forget about these little children that they're now raising to be an army, but I don't really know. Like, what? I wonder. Well, are they alive? Is my first question at this point, or are they like shadow?
Yeah, they're alive.
Okay. Wow. So
What do you think Cotillion's? What do you think Cotillion's game
cooking
is?
something up crazy, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know why it is, but he has a lot of different little things going on. I think having Kalam in his corner right now is going to be it's going to be a power move. I don't know. I can't fathom what they're doing. And also, what happened with him in Manala?
She's there.
I do think she gets short shrift, and I do think it's pretty offhanded. He's just like, marital problems. Anyway, you should go on a quest, you know?
Yeah. Like, is he mad that she's teaching these children how to be like adept at life, or what?
I think it's implied she is mad at him, but it's really, I don't know. It's referred to offhandedly. I don't know the details. So we never
find out. We never, I can't take it, but fine, whatever. I think it's interesting. It's going to be great. Who knows what he's going to do with these fighting children? Who knows what Kalam's going to do? They're going to take over the world is my new plan. Felisin, you're out of here.
Josh,
yes.
We then go into the flooded Warren, where we check in with Troll from the prologue, and we meet Onrack, a Talani Mass, who is also trapped in this flooded Warren. How did you feel about meeting this new duo?
Well, first and foremost, Onrack will never replace Tool, my first and only clanless Talani Mass love. So he can forget about that right now.
See you.
Although he's kind of funny. I don't know. He's at least charming. I like Onrack a little bit so far. Troll Sengar is just kind of there and sad, which I guess when you've been stuck in eternal solitude, like hung on a wall, you would be. So I guess that's forgivable.
Do we know how long it's been?
Fucking ages.
A while, it's implied.
Because India, when we start the book, this entire warren, there is water, but it is not flooded to the point of it being
having
destroyed.
Boats and stuff. Yeah.
And it currently is now to the point of being destroyed. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I was surprised. I don't know. Actually, I got a really Karsa and Torvald Nam vibe from Onrack and Troll Sengar once Troll got his voice back. Because Onrack's like, I'm going to leave you here and die. And Troll's like, what if you didn't? And I talked to you about enemies. And Onrack's like, are you enemy? And it's like, I just love it all. It's very Karsa and Torvald again. So I always love that kind of strong silent type and then annoying, It's a good one.
There's a really good there's just a really good passage when they meet where Onrack's trying to find out why Troll is like chained there, and he basically just says, I'm plagued by the need to be truthful, and then Onrack's like, oh, I have my own curse, curiosity, and then he frees him. It's just like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. There we go. I'm excited for this duo. I have to say, I'm very curious. I even texted Peter, so I find it very curious that in this book there are very many sevens.
Yeah, there's too many sevens. I texted Peter also because I was very confused about the 7 dogs.
Yeah, so there's 7 dogs, which are on the cover of this fucking book. So you'd imagine this is a pivotal thing we're about to see.
There's also 7 cities.
There's 7 cities. There's 7 Tabor guides. There's too many 7s.
Does Steve have a favorite number? And is it 7?
He got really into that Brad Pitt movie.
Oh my god.
So at the end, these big statues are on the cover of the book, and they know they sense something strange about them, and then there could be a gate out of the Warren past them. India, do you have any thoughts about these big, mysterious beasts of stone?
Which person has the dogs? Shadow Throne? Cotillion?
Shadow Throne.
Something to do with him. I'll tell you that much. That's all I got for you.
That was my thought. Real. Because we keep getting hints that like the Shadow Warren is not just one place and maybe many small places. So I was wondering if this is like somehow connected too, but I don't fucking know. Steve over here with his layers.
I know. I'm like, ugh.
I too was like, ugh.
Oh, sorry. One last thing. When Onrack is talking, when Trull is talking about the Tiste Edur and the Logros Talanamast fighting, he says, prior to that, your people fled from us at first sight. And then, apart from those who traveled the oceans with Thaloman Toblakai.
Yes, that was cool.
Which makes my assumption, in my head, makes my assumption that the muddy current or whatever that was around Karsa's boat was in fact Talanamast guiding his boat.
Ooh.
But I don't know. That was just something that I had thought about in the last section and feels like is a thing in my head. But
Feels right.
That's interesting.
So that reminds me, how'd you guys feel we get a little more information about the Tiste Edur here? And Troll is the first Tiste Edur we meet.
well, besides all the one that Karsa stabs.
Yeah, he does kill many of them.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. But they don't
count.
He doesn't say, my name's Greg, and then
they
gets
don't
stabbed
count,
in the
you
chest.
know?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going to chapter 7. Chapter 7. In Reriku, Habora Ghost Hands collects flowers for tea. He thinks about delusions and the whirlwind when the child now called Felisin Younger joins him. They speak of Felisin's poetry, Corblo Dom's army, and the mages of the whirlwind. Shaik has banished Malik Rel to the chagrin of Corblo Dom. Haborik goes to see Leoman, and they speak of Faith and the mage Bidithal, who has turned his attention to Felisin Younger. Haborik thinks Bidithal ought to be killed outright, but Leoman argues with him. Haborik goes off, and Karsa tells Leoman it's likely to find Shaik. Haborik goes to a decrepit temple and finds Bidithal. Before entering, Leoric emerges and warns Haborik about Bidithal. The Shadow Mage resides within, along with the amputated body of the still-living Silgar. Haborik enters and threatens Bidithal with death if he touches Felisin Younger. Bidithal brags about the warded temple. They speak briefly about Haborik's ghost hands, and then the ex-priest leaves. Karsa thinks on Haborik, and then of Felisin, fearing that she is being used by the Whirlwind goddess, that she may be leading those into battle, similar to as Karsa once had. He also thinks of Leoman and what the man is waiting for. Karsa arrives then at a grove of stone and finds Felisin. He speaks about friends, the Whirlwind goddess, and of poetry. Haborik has visions of Jade and Fenir. He thinks more on these strange dreams, but tries to drink his tea to avoid the visions. He goes to Shaik's command, where the mages Leoric, Bidithal, and Febril have gathered along with the renegade fist Corblo Dom and his mage chemist Relo. They speak of the first hero Treach and Fenir, then of Dujak's campaign on Genebacchus and of Whiskey Jack's death. Genos' name is mentioned, and Felisin freezes. Everybody continues to debate the strength of the inexperienced adjunct Tavor, and whether the noblewoman and her novice army will be a match to the Whirlwind. Sheik abruptly dismisses everybody out, except for Haborik. Alone then, Felisin cries out for her brother. Okay, Ange, we're finally back with the Whirlwind. We check in with the rebellion on 7 cities, starting with Haborik. He's collecting these flowers, and then he goes to speak with Leoman Karsa, and then later Bidithal. This is our first impression of the status of the rebellion on 7 cities. So how'd you feel checking in with Haborik, and then seeing what this rebel army looks like?
So Haborik, to me, is kind of annoying, because...
How dare you?
I know. Hear me out. I feel like him and Felisin's love-hate relationship is just so... It just carries on. It carries on. So in this, he's like, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, what are we doing here? This is a mess, blah, blah, blah. She's such a brat. But then at the end, he's like holding her while she cries, like, oh, my sweet child. So I'm just like over that. That's first of all. Second of all, they look to be in a pretty shitty shape right now. It seems like quite disorganized, a little bit chaotic, really with that whole guy whose name starts with a B, that's really also quite disturbing.
Bidithal.
and then all of that, and then nobody really seems to be like united in any, like, I don't really know like what they're doing together. Like, they all seem probably most likely to have their own separate agendas under the guise of this Whirlwind thing. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested in seeing like what will happen when there is conflict and how everyone individually is going to react to that. And Corbolo Dom is blue, which is news to me.
Yes.
And that's it.
Nappin'. Josh, how did you feel about finding Haboric and also the state of the rebel army?
Well, I actually started this chapter very cold. I like really didn't. I've said before that I think that the desert setting just it ingrains itself into every part of this chapter for me.
I think I does a great job of making you feel
that's what I'm saying. Like,
terrible
I
in
felt
the desert.
shitty. Like, as soon as I got in there, I felt shitty. Like, I felt Haboric's just like need for dreamless sleep, and that like was weighing on me the whole time. Like, I felt so bad for this dude. But also, like, there's so many things he did in the second book and is still doing that I'm like, dude, fucking, I want to have pity for you. I want to empathize with you so bad. Stop doing shitty, dumb things. Like,
exactly.
That it's very hard. It's very hard for me to get into his head and empathize.
What specifically are you calling shitty and dumb?
I think he is too convinced that he's the smartest man in the room in any fucking room he walks into. And
I don't know.
And I'd say the prime example is him talking with Toblakai and Leomin. Because I think they're his only allies, basically, in this camp. Because Felisin's too quick to just turn, on the drop of a dime, hate him again. And I feel like Toblakai and Leomin are very, like, stable. They don't want to have sex with children. And we don't think that they could possibly be scheming overlord high mages, you know?
I do think you make a good point there in that I do think in that conversation with Leomin and Toblakai, Karsa, you know, you can say what you want about Leomin and Karsa, but they're like they're just as smart as Haboric. Yes. And he definitely is talking down to them. Yeah. Or at least he like isn't giving them the respect of an equal.
It drives me crazy. That may be pretty, and granted, I think I have a much different perspective on that scene after, book one of this one. Now that I like see Toblakai as a character that I like understand and really see where they're coming from. If he trusts Leomin, then there's a part of me as a reader that wants to trust Leomin as well. And so in the second book, I didn't really care when Haboric was mean to them, but now it really grates me.
Well, let's check in on that, Josh. How are you feeling? We see more about it. How are you feeling about Leomin right now? Because I feel like he is a character who we saw in book 2, we haven't really talked about, and now we know him again kind of through Karsa's eyes, and we see him here talking to Haboric.
I actually was kind of annoyed with like his. So okay, at the end of book 2, it's not that he is like not. He was just really, really close with Shaik Elder. Yes, correct. And so he doesn't take to, is it like he questions Felisin on the way in, right? Enough to the point that he kind of loses some favor with her?
I thought he didn't.
Yeah, I think...
What?
I think Felisin says something about his heart being bereft of fate.
Yeah.
Faith? Yeah. There's an exact line I forget.
It's good. But I don't know, so I was... At first, I actually fully believed that he was just, like, getting high all the time and was just giving up. I actually was not... When they later say that, like, no one actually ever sees him do it, I was just like, oh, I didn't see that coming, actually. That's cool. So I don't really know. He's hard to put a finger on. Obviously, he's the only reason Karsa's alive. I don't know. He's a very interesting character. I would say he's one of the characters I'm most interested to learn more about.
India, it goes without saying, we go and meet the quite despicable Bidithal in his dark, evil lair.
Yeah.
And I use the word evil very pointedly, Not a word I bandy about, but... So, any impressions or thoughts about Bidithal and why we're keeping him around and this mage who is a part of the rebellion?
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that he has to be like some kind of crazy strong, like magical being that's like really useful. which I kind of got just because, like, who's really that cocky that they don't even turn around when somebody, like, walks into their home and they just, like, remain doing what they're doing, even though they, like, I don't know, I just felt like he knew. He's just a weird guy. He's very overconfident, I feel, and I think that, I don't know what he brings to the table, that they'd keep him around, or that he'd even feel, like, why he's even still here, knowing that he's, like, you know, an evil character. So I have a feeling maybe, I don't know, we got to learn a little bit about who he is before, because I don't know, I feel like there has to be some reason. They can't just, he wouldn't just be there to be there. And he also seems like, yeah, you don't want to try that. Like when he's like, you could try to kill me. Many have, and I'm sure many will after you. So I don't know, he seems kind of like, you know, fuerte, strong, scary.
I also completely forgot, I'll cop to that at the end of chapter 4, I completely forgot about the Silgar plotline and what happens to this character.
Loved it.
However, seeing him again in this chapter, it all instantly snapped back into memory. You know, I all recall this whole thing now. So Josh, how'd you feel about seeing Silgar now chilling out in this terrible pain form?
Chilling out is a generous phrase.
It's a little rough, I would say. Yeah. I mean, I
just
think,
wanted to shout it out. You know?
I think Karsa should just kill him. You
Like
know, that'd be probably
coming out
a
of
good
his little
choice.
things. Yuck.
So then, Josh, Karsa goes, and we get his perspective, kind of on the status of the rebel army and Leoman and the Whirlwind goddess, and then he goes and talks with Felisin, and we get a chance to see her. So how'd you feel about seeing Karsa here, and then how'd you feel about seeing Felisin from the eyes of Karsa Orlon?
It's the first time in a long time that I didn't immediately dislike her. I enjoyed their scene together. I thought it was nice.
Josh likes Felisin behind Karsa's eyes.
Yeah, it's just because Karsa's too nice and naive to understand that she's the pits.
In a world where Karsa is too nice.
Yeah, and nice is not the right word.
Where are they that there were all those snakes and stuff? I was trying to understand.
Just nearby, but like...
They're in the encampment. There's like a garden of stones, and Karsa's like carving junk in them, and a bunch of snakes, I guess.
It was really nice that he carved one of his companions.
That fucking got
thanks
me.
To thanks to his actions are dead. You know, it's like I gotta tell you, chapter 1 Karsa, I don't think understood remorse. So he's really come a long way.
Yeah.
Or even grief.
India, how did you feel about checking in with Felisin here? And also, Karsa talks about fearing for Felisin and whether she's being used and worrying about her. So do you share any of those fears? And how did you feel checking in with Felisin?
Always love Felisin. It's always a joy to read her. I don't really know. I have no freaking idea what is going on with this grouping. There are so many stronger, like, people and strong people that are around her. I'm just confused as to, I just don't know. I literally don't know. I feel like what decisions really has she even made yet? And also, we haven't really seen any conflict, so I don't really have anything to base it off of, I feel. Like, if she's being used and by who and what they're planning on doing. It's just, like, way too soon for me to make that call.
I think Steve does such a good job, and I think it's why Felisin's story shines so bright in Dead Out's Gates to me. In that, you know, when she takes the title of Shaik Reborn, you know, it is, to me, it's a very satisfying moment. It's like a moment of empowerment, you know. It's like a moment of actualization. She's coming into her own, in a way, you know? And then, when you're outside of her character, you know, and when you're not in her own shoes feeling her emotions, you look back at it from the outside perspective, from her context of being this stranger, being drawn into this army, being given this huge position, you know, and being donned this power by the Whirlwind goddess, you know, it puts it in such a different context. And I think it speaks to how powerful it is that when you read it from her perspective, it's such a different experience than when you're looking at it from Karsa or an outside perspective, because you're experiencing it from her point of view. Yeah,
I definitely think when it was from her point of view, it felt a lot more empowering. Ooh, my cat just attacked the other one. My apologies. Yeah, it sounded a lot more empowering. She sounded, you know, just very in charge, at peace, whatever, all knowing. But everybody else, I feel, when they're talking about her, is just like,
Oh my
stop!
God.
Damn.
You're so annoying. Stop. Sorry.
Assert yourself, India. Assert yourself.
Yeah,
The
she's so
alpha.
bad. I don't even remember what I was saying. But either way, the people looking at her through other people's eyes, it just seems as though she's, she's not it. She ain't it, is what it seems like. And nobody is confident in her abilities. So you know what? Felisin's going to shine through, as she always does, and she's going to crush it. Following up with my next question, does everybody know that her and Tavor are sisters?
Ooh, that's a good question.
No.
They don't
No.
even know. Do they even know that her name is originally Felisin? Because she shows up and she's like, I'm Shaik, right?
Well, she named the one young girl Felisin younger and kind of adopted this child. But outside of that, I think she mostly goes by Sheik.
Cool. Yeah, that makes... Yeah, so... it'd be pretty shitty if they all found out, huh? What would that mean, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder. The plot thickens.
So Josh, Haborik has some visions that he is burdened by. And then he goes, and in almost like a parallel of the Tavor sequence, she goes to her own command meeting. And there are the mages, there's Corblo Dom and Chemist Relo, and they talk about the events of Memories of Ice. They talk about Tavor, and they kind of check in with the whole situation. So, and then there's the kind of ending tag we'll talk about separately. So how'd you feel about seeing, seeing this command room and getting all of this information from the perspective of this tent of rebel leaders?
My heart was broken when they were just so happy about all the people who died. So I was like, they're beautiful souls and they didn't deserve this. So I was very upset by that. I do believe Felisin has her work cut out for her compared to Tavor. Because, it's just an example of, Tavor being groomed for her leadership role, she just sets meetings and appointments and she says what she has to say and she goes. And Felisin doesn't get any of those advantages. She's just kind of thrown into this command. And, can you imagine being in a room with, that many people who all believe they are, the most... they all believe in Shaik, however much we believe that they do. But, that secretly all of them are I'm the real leader of this and trying to just worm their way into everything. I could not... that would be tough for anybody to try and command, so...
And it's worth noting, we skimmed over earlier, Shaik made the decision to excise Malik Rel from the camp.
Yes.
So he is gone.
Right. But the whole time it was overwhelming. And the number of people that you had to just meet in that one moment, it was a lot. It did a good job of showing just how fractured in some ways it feels like this army of rebellion is.
Absolutely. I think it does a great job of, not only we're told that, in meetings like this, you really see firsthand the fracturing you're talking about. India, how'd you feel at the very end? Felisin hears about Perrin being, Ganos being alive, and she misses her brother.
I loved it. I live for Felisin showing emotions and her and Haborik being besties. I don't know what it means. No idea. Couldn't tell you. Have no idea how these stories are going to come together, but I really hope that if they do find each other, it's a positive storyline, and not, him trying to kill her because she's Shaik reborn. But yeah, that was really cute. I just wish that her and Haborik could always just be like that, why can't they always just be supporting each other instead of arguing all the time? It's just freaking get it together, guys. Great ending. Loved it. Needed it because I couldn't take the, them not being besties.
Yeah.
I also loved the parallel. Steve uses similar language about her being like a child, of when Bowden dies, of her collapsing into Haborik's arms. And I just think it's an interesting to retouch on that metaphor of having exterior armor and then kind of having more naive, younger, more intimate version of yourself within.
Don't we all?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's used a lot, right? AJ?
Yes.
How are the levels?
How are the levels?
The levels are good.
AJ, how are you feeling right now about the rebellion in contrast to Adjunct Tavor's army? Because we start out chapter 5, we meet Tavor and the Malazans, and now we check in with Shaik and we check in with the rebels. Yeah. So where are you at?
I don't remember which one of you said it, India and Josh, but one of you said that you realize how unprepared they are. Or just how broken apart the rebellion seems. I very much feel that they are just kind of oh, we have all this information, but I don't know. Also, we're kind of just in the middle of the desert. It's just I don't know. The Tavor's army seems way more of like a proper military, I guess. Whereas the rebellion, I mean, I guess that is kind of the definition of like what a rebellion kind of is like a collection of people coming together. But like that is what it feels like, despite like it seems like they have all these very powerful people on the side of Shaik and stuff, but it doesn't feel like they're being managed super well. And it just feels it feels like there is a child leading them, which like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it all is going to depend on they're making a big deal right now about how the Malazan army, like the actual troops are fresh and untested, right? But I feel like it's going to come down to, can they maintain their level, like the level of discipline that, like if they can stay disciplined, maintain their ranks, survive in the desert, I think they're going to fucking win, no doubt. It's just a matter of if they can do that, raw and untested.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree, but I also feel like they do have this big desert god on their side, So like,
it's true.
It could go pretty south for the Empire pretty quick, I think. Before we wrap up this chapter, can I just read this final paragraph? Because it's so good. She wept for a long, long time, and he held her tight, unmoving, as solid as he could manage. And each time the vision of his fallen god rose before his mind's eye, he ruthlessly drove it back down. The child in his arms, for child she was once more, cried in nothing other than the throes of salvation. She was no longer alone with only her hated sister to taint the family's blood. For the need his presence answered, his own grief would wait. I just feel like it's a really good moment for Haboric also, just like internally and stuff, and just, I don't know.
It's almost like Steve's really, really, really good at writing.
Yeah, I think the most interesting word choice he uses there is salvation.
Yeah, right?
To touch back on the interiority of it is because I think in that passage he's saying she is finding salvation through connecting with emotion and connecting with her inner feelings and like kind of opening up that armor,
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to India, what you were saying about her not really revealing her emotions and stuff, is like she wasn't doing that because she didn't feel like she had a reason to. Right. And now that Perrin is like alive, she feels like that part of her can also still survive, Well, that she can live almost in a way. Right, that she can be Felisin, Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that'll be all for us this week. As always, we're 10 Very Big Books on Twitter and Gmail. Let us know what you think of the show. And before we go, do we have any predictions for going forward now that, for the most part, we've checked in with most of the people from Dead House Gates?
We literally they're literally all in different places, and their stories have literally, I couldn't even tell you how they're going to meet. But here's my prediction. They all will meet.
That's a cold take. That's not a hot take. Okay, Josh, do you got any predictions for what's going to happen to all these new characters? Not new, returning.
I was going to guess that we're going to see Mappo and Ikarium. That was going to be my guess.
All right.
I feel like they got to publish somewhere.
Do you have any fun hot predictions?
Not about these characters specifically, but I was thinking about the Tiste Edur stuff that we got. And I was thinking maybe we'll get some insight into the city that Lady Envy walked through on her way to Coral in the last book, right? Was that a Tiste Edur city?
I know
that was not a Tiste Edur city, but
there is a dead Tiste Edur in the river that the bridge burners find.
Yeah. So I think maybe we'll get a throwback to Memories of Ice, maybe.
I would like that.
Just a quick other thing. I do love that when I do love when the Rebel Army's talking about the events of Memories of Ice. I love when the world's so big that in world they're discussing things we read about secondhand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of makes you feel the scope of the world when they're like, yo, the word just got in from Genabacchus. They're fighting something called the Penny and Damen,
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I thought it was really something that really struck me was I knew the armies were big and stuff and like they lost a lot of people, but for them to say like, oh, Dujak's army of 10,000 lost 7,000 was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
To like give it a number
battle.
was like wild.
Yeah. I'm very curious who their man on the inside is, who like literally knew the names of the bridge burners. Like that's got to be someone up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
All
my
right,
prediction.
everybody.
Fuck you, India.
I say come, you say passion. Come, passion.
Passion.
All right, I gotta say, I think we're. All right, God bless. See ya.
Hello, everybody. Producer AJ here, now acutely aware of the fact that I just said goodbye on the show and then hello immediately after. Thank you so much for listening to the third episode of our read-through of House of Chains. We recorded this episode a few days after launching our Patreon, and we were clearly blown away by the response, and that remains true now, nearly a month after its launch. Thank you to everybody who's backed the show so far. We're almost at $300 a month at the release of this episode, and geez, we love you all for that. Thank you so much. If you'd like to check out our Patreon, you can visit the link in the show notes or head on over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. There's a great public post on there that explains exactly how we want to use this money that we're making from this. So if that interests you at all, head on over and give it a read. Of course, you can always tweet us your thoughts and feelings about the show at 10verybigbooks. You can also email us 10verybigbooks@gmail.com. You can also join our Discord by heading to bit.ly/VBBDiscord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D, Discord. The link will also be in the show notes. And as always, thank you so very much to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Gesrick for a tweet that just says, I enjoy hockey, as if we didn't already know. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode is by the one and only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on August 14th, talking about House of Chains, chapters 8, 9, 10, and 11. We'll talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.
Before we get started, I was watching K-pop before this when I was studying, I really feel like our podcast should also aspire to be like a K-pop group where our distinguishing features were slightly different flavors of incredibly beautiful. Do you know what I mean?
I do agree with that already.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of like a smoldering beautiful, and then Josh is like a cute beautiful.
Oh. Oh.
And then like India's like also a cute beautiful, but kind of a different cute. I just think it's nice how in K-pop groups everyone identifies as incredibly hot, but just like slightly different, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
And AJ can have like blue hair. That's his thing.
I would have blue hair.